YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with my wild card score predictions, predicting the score and taking a look at the lines for each wild card playoff game here for the NFL. We have our straight up picks with the other members of the Goat House. That's already up. We'll be doing that every week along with this video every week. All kinds of playoff coverage, all kinds of offseason coverage. Had a recent mock draft go up. Basically, we got you covered. So if you're not subscribed, you better get on that. Would be much appreciated. Smash that like button as well. Follow that Twitter. A lot going on that Twitter, talking throughout these playoff games live, giving you my takeaways on the spot, what's going on. So follow that Twitter. Also got a bunch of polls keeping you guys involved in videos. You probably noticed that throughout the week already. So any link that you need for the Twitter, Instagram, the podcast, the Patreon with bonus content, the Sided app where you can win Amazon gift cards, those links will be down in the description and comments, so check it out. Right before we get into our score predictions here, let's, well, you see that one, but I wanted to show you guys that you guys are currently on our Twitter at GoatHouse NFL, link down below. You guys voted for who will win the first round matchups, and we're going to make a full bracket out of this. So you guys are voting currently, 7 hours left or so on these, so better get on it, and then we'll keep on going. Who's going to win the NFC, AFC Championship? So it's pretty cool. I'll have my full brackets coming out very soon, and you guys will have your own full brackets. So you guys can, instead of ripping me, well, you're going to do that in my video, you can rip yourselves or each other in the fan voted bracket video. But score predictions, Bills, Colts. The line is Colts plus 6.5 at Buffalo, so the Bills are favored by 6.5 here. 31-24. It's a tough one to predict. 31-24 because the Bills are rolling. They're scoring a ton of points. I like the Colts defense, though. The Colts defense is pretty solid. Teams are starting to throw on them a little more, quite a bit more, compared to the early on in the season. Even with that being said, the Colts have one of the best defenses in the playoffs. This is a pretty damn good 7 seed. This is a scary 7 seed here because not only because of that defense, but because they're pretty balanced. Their offense is getting better and better. They can establish the run. Rivers seems like he's getting better. He's had a couple interceptions. You look at the Steelers game, look at the Jags game. He had one that was mainly a good play, but I think he's playing better overall, a little more accurate, hitting the downfield shots, still has some arm strength left in him. So, and then the Bills have the defense that, the key is to get Allen off his groove, because he has the capabilities, even though he's been playing MVP type ball. Not saying he is the MVP. We'll get to that later in the week. You guys will vote on Twitter for your awards as well. But even though he's playing at elite level, we'll say that, we know he has the capabilities of turning the ball over. So the Colts, they could force some turnovers. They run a lot of cover too, which I'm not really a fan of, even though they're pretty damn good at it, which is that much more impressive. I think good quarterbacks starting to pick that apart a little bit, hitting that gap in between the corner and the safety. But, I think a couple things here. The Titans, when the Bills played the Titans, for oddly enough, that terrible defense this year, they had a really good defensive game. They game plan well for them. They actually ran more cover two than they normally do. And that kind of threw off Josh Allen a little bit. Now, that was early in the year. Josh Allen and company, the whole Bills, they're better since then. Another thing is the Colts teams that will be expecting cover two will game plan for it, and it's easier to learn. You don't really have to learn much here. It's pretty easy to kind of just shift over to a cover three or man coverage. These players will be able to run that, so they actually could throw teams off. So there are a few things to watch out for and reasons why the Colts could win. Why I'm going with the Bills, though, can the Colts keep up? We know the Bills are going to score. That defense sure can throw them off, but the Colts kind of rely on the run a little bit to kind of get going and open up the pass game, and they're going to be playing keep up most likely in this game. I got the Bills winning by 7. This should be a pretty good game. It's a sneaky 7 seed. It's a really good 7 seed. The two first ever 7 seeds, Colts, Bears. Colts look like a pretty good one. So who knows here what would happen. But I got the Bills. It's tough to go against them right now. Rams and Seahawks, it's another tough one to predict because we really don't know if Goff is playing. We don't know if Jamal Adams is playing. Earlier in the week, maybe a day or two ago, maybe I was saying that Goff's probably not playing because it sounded like he was a long shot to play. Now, they're really not saying. McVay's saying he's not really going to announce until, they absolutely have to. We'll know at game time. And that tells me he's trying to keep it a secret. I can kind of see them just rolling out with Goff and it's kind of surprising. The Seahawks will game plan the right way. They're smart. They have experienced coaching staff. But I can see that. Them kind of playing mind games right now, and Goff gets thrown out there. But the report was he was a long shot. Either way, I think it'll be a somewhat close game. It's mainly because of the Rams' defense. The Rams have the best defense in the playoffs, in my opinion. It's a really good defense. They get pressure in multiple different ways. They're pretty damn good in coverage as well. Jalen Ramsey can take away your top receiver. Whether that'll be, we'll see what the game plan is, whether it'll be DK Metcalf or Lockett. I think he's going to slow one of those guys down. Well, maybe not one. I think, they'll move them around, switch them on the side, different sides of the ball, and Ramsey on that given play will slow down that receiver most likely. He averages giving up 20 yards per game, which is pretty ridiculous. So, yeah, it's a factor. And Russell Wilson, in his career and earlier in the year, pressure didn't really faze him. For some reason, the second half of the year, it did. He was taking some sacks. Pressure was kind of phasing him a little bit, getting after him a little bit. I think he starts to pick it up a little bit. The score won't show this on this prediction because they scored 20 on the Rams a couple weeks ago, and I have them scoring 23. It's only a 3-point difference, but I do think if you watch the game, I think the Seahawks will look better on offense. They'll be a little more consistent. They kind of just got 3 and out, or 6 and out, and they scored when they needed to, which was good, and that's why they beat the Rams, and they stopped them. Their defense played very well. So I think the Seahawks make that extra play, do enough. I think if Goff plays, he's not going to be 100%. If he doesn't play, it's Walford. But their defense, either way, will be the ones, if the Rams win, they'll be the ones to win the game. I like the Seahawks that, I think their offense comes alive a little bit, like I said. I like that they can win in multiple ways. I think they can win by pounding the football. I know the Rams defense is very tough, but, you got to be on your toes with that and stop them through the air. The deep ball, Russell Wilson, all that. So Seahawks are favored by 3.5 and winning by 6. But, again, this could change depending on who's at quarterback. Again, if Goff plays, it gives them a realistic shot. But at the same time, it's going to be their defense. If they win, it's going to be their defense there. Seattle, I really don't know what to expect. I talked about it earlier in the week. Are they going to have more offense than they did the last few weeks? Are they going to have less defense? That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. A little bit more offense, a little less defense in the playoffs compared to the last few weeks. But it's kind of a mystery there. So I'm excited to see what the Seahawks playoff identity is. Bucks and Washington football team. I got the Bucks winning 27-16. They're -8. So what is that? 9 points. I got them winning. So all these are pretty close to the line. So Vegas did a pretty good job with that line, but not surprising at all. The question here is, can the Bucks deal with a pretty good defense? Because most this year they've struggled with good defenses, and that's really kept the games close, or those are the games that they lost. The Falcons actually end up having a pretty good defense, except when they played the Bucks. So the Bucks, I guess that's where the hope is. Their offense is getting going. So that's the good sign there. But it's a little better defense than Atlanta, obviously. So will they get pressure? Will they throw Brady off? I think they get enough offense. It's improved. It's shown me that it's improved. Brady's getting a little more consistent. He's kind of getting in playoff mode. The offensive line's protecting him. I think the strength of this Washington defense, they're very well coached. Ron Rivera's a hell of a coach, obviously. And their front is really good. That actual defensive line could be the best in football. But their secondary, it's good. It's definitely good, but it's Tom Brady can get them downfield with these collection of receivers. Mike Evans has a shot to play, but even if not, they got a long list of good receivers, tight ends. So I think Brady wins enough downfield. But mainly it's going to be easier because I don't think Washington's offense does a whole bunch of anything. I could debate that, though, because the knock on the Buccaneers defense is small ball teams kind of expose them a little bit. They play a lot of soft coverage, which they tried to fix that later in the year. They kind of did a good job, but Washington's pretty good with that's kind of their strength, but it doesn't mean they're that good at it, I guess. But they're going to try to get the ball out in the flat to Antonio Gibson, to McKissick, to McLaurin, and it could work. It could work. It could make them, it could make the Bucs force them to play up, and they can kind of hit that dagger, which they kind of did on the Steelers. So it could be a game like that. Who knows? I just like the Bucs on both sides of the ball here. Washington, you definitely get debates about our defense, but in the specific game going against the opposing offense, I like the Bucs on both sides of the ball. They get pressure in so many different ways, interior, edge rush, blitz, and that'll affect Alex Smith. They do enough on both sides of the ball to win this game. So I like the Bucs. They're heating up at the right time, but can they execute every step of the way? We will see. Ravens-Titans is a 50-50 game if I've ever seen one. This is the main event of Wild Card Weekend. I cannot wait for this game. Two high-powered offenses. I think a lot of scoring. I was hesitant to go this much scoring because both teams are going to run the clock by a lot, but I think they're going to get big chunk plays where it's not going to take as many. Lamar's going to get loose. Derrick Henry's going to get loose. It's not going to take, it's not going to be 5 yards, 10 yards, down the field. It's going to be big chunk plays down the field and score. And both teams can throw. They're both very underrated throwing the ball. And last time they played, it was, it went to overtime. It was somewhat high scoring in this range. I think both offenses are better now than they were then. So it's going to be a pretty entertaining, good game here. Again, it could go either way. The Ravens, I think the Ravens actually maybe have a better shot of beating more playoff teams, kind of going on that run than maybe the Titans, even though the Titans can do it. But just head-to-head in this game, I got the Titans. And, again, the Ravens seem a little more improved than the Titans since the last time they played, and the Titans won that game. I think the difference in the receivers, who's going to make that extra play downfield, and I think the difference in the receivers kind of shows there. A.J. Brown. Another thing that stands out, the Ravens, I like their defense. Doesn't feel as good. The offense feels better. The defense doesn't feel as good, but the main reason it's good is because they're good at blitzing, and they're very tight in coverage on the outside. But the Ravens' weakness is, for some reason this year, tackling is a problem. They're second in the league in missed tackles, most in the playoffs. And take any team in the NFL, if you can't tackle, if you struggle to tackle, which team do you least want to play? It is Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Jonnu Smith. It's these guys here. And Tannehill with the read option is becoming more and more deadly. So that was the deciding factor, and I think it'll show the difference in receivers. I think that'll be kind of like it did last year. The Ravens got beat up by the Titans, but they didn't have to. Receivers dropped the ball. They didn't help Lamar Jackson too much. Titans, for some reason, had a good game plan. Titans defense seems worse now. Seems like it's the worst defense in the playoffs. But they're just going to worry about one thing. That's kind of where they're a little more successful, I guess, when they kind of have the game plan on one type of play. You don't have to be on their toes, pass or run. So more signs point towards the Titans, but I love what the Ravens are doing right now. They're rolling. Lamar Jackson's one of my favorite players in the NFL. For some reason, he's become underrated at this point. People like to give him smack. I don't know why. He's one of the most valuable players in football, and so is Derrick Henry too. But I got the Titans. It's the feeling, but if the Ravens get by this game, I like the Ravens to potentially make a run. We'll see who they play. They'd probably play the Chiefs, which is a bad matchup as well, so maybe I won't have them winning again, but I like the Ravens. I think they can make that run. We'll see what they do in this game. They're -3. I have the Titans winning by 3. I'm looking forward to it. Titans defense does need to step up. That's the side with the Ravens. They are more balanced. They're way more balanced. It's weird that they miss way more tackles than the Titans, but their defense is much, much better. I think that's kind of odd. So they're going to have to figure out how to tackle Derrick Henry. That was a problem last time. A.J. Brown as well. So A.J. Brown's basically another running back that plays receiver. So he could be more of a problem than Derrick Henry in this game. And watch out for that Tannehill read option. That's heating up. Bears and Saints. I got the Saints winning 26-17, so not quite that 10-point, 1 point under. A lot of these are close at the line. The Saints are just the better team right now. The Bears are a 7 seed. They could be a little sneaky because they have a fairly new scheme, and they're throwing some teams off. They didn't really throw the Packers off too much. They converted a lot of fourth downs because the Packers really didn't know what to expect. They're so quick. That's where you can credit Trubisky. He's really good. He's really quick at you could compare. Baker Mayfield's a lot better, but you can compare him to Baker Mayfield and how the play actions work for him and why it's worked so well. He's just so quick to do it and get the ball out. Trubisky, that's where you can credit him. The quick footwork, I suppose, but he kind of relies on that first read being open. If he has to go to the next read, that's where he kind of struggles. And the Saints are pretty good in those quick, tight cut when they need to have tight coverage type of plays. So I don't think that's really I think that's kind of a weakness there, a matchup problem. Bears, versus Saints. That's where the Saints, thrive. I would like for the teams to have more strength downfield against the Saints defense. Saints are pretty stout stopping the run as well, so I don't think they'll let Montgomery go wild. The Bears, where they thrive right now is running the ball and then play action, which play action, for that to work, you need to be able to run the ball. So if the Saints take that away, they're in business. I just don't know if the Saints score a whole bunch of points. The Bears defense has been on and off. They've actually given up. It seems like they declined a little bit, even though they're still one of the better defenses in the playoffs. So the Saints could score it up. I just don't think they score a whole bunch. I think their focus is going to be running the clock here, just getting out of this with a W, because they should, the better team should do that. They should be comfortable most of this game. Roquan Smith could be out. I can add a little more points to the Saints if that ends up being, because he's a key piece to that defense there. But yeah, I just don't know if the Bears have enough. It's a must-win for every team, but I talked about in the picks video, this is an absolute must-win for the Saints. This is like the Super Bowl or bust year. You put yourself in an interesting cap space situation going forward. Getting upset by a 7 seed, the Bears, who went on a 6-game losing streak this season. That would be disastrous. I was saying in the picks video, people will remember this forever. So Bears, they got that with them. I don't think the Saints will feel any kind of pressure because of that at all. It's a must win, and they're going to win, in my opinion. So the other thing going for the Bears, last time they played, the Bears took them to overtime, and that's when the Bears were really struggling. They went on a big losing streak during that period, and the best they played was probably against the Saints in there. So now they're different scheme, tougher game plan, maybe a little better. The problem is I don't know if they're better on defense, and they might be worse, but not by that much, I guess. Maybe if they can slow down Breeze, and he's turned the ball over a little bit here and there, when trying to get the ball downfield. Maybe they turn him over. And then maybe they can get in good field position. Who knows? But I got the Saints here. Must-win game for them. Then Browns Steelers. It's unfortunate the Browns got quite some players out. Petonio is one of the better guards in football, and Stefanski, their head coach. That's a tough loss there. Stefanski, the head coach, has got the COVID. He won't be at this game. That's a tough loss. I was picking the Steelers either way because of the matchup, but I still think it's going to be somewhat close. The matchup favors the Steelers, in my opinion, whether guys are in and out, because, Steelers, I don't know if they're going to shut down the Browns' run game, but they're going to slow it down. They're going to force them to pass a little more, and Baker can throw. I just don't think they do a whole bunch against the Steelers' defense. I think they're going to get pressure. TJ Watt's going to get pressure. And then without Stefanski, that's going to hurt them a little bit. So therefore, only the 20 points. They got to get up early. They can't get down right away. You got to be able to establish run, keep in the game so you can run the ball. So they got to be able to do that. Defensively, the Browns defense could get takeaways here, but it's not the best defense. I think their weakness is teams that kind of spread out the field with a collection of weapons at the receiver position. That's exactly what the Steelers got. Sometimes the Steelers can't really go downfield. Sometimes Deontay Johnson drops the ball. But I think they spread the field out too much with these guys. I think that's a weakness for the Browns. So I think the Steelers will actually be more successful in offense than they have been in some time. I know they got things going against the Colts, which was impressive. I think I got them winning by 7, 27-20. Can the Browns? I think they'll kind of keep in there, but I just like the matchup for those reasons for the Steelers. I think the Steelers are way better on defense, way better. And the Browns, look at the offense. I think against the field of the NFL, the Browns are, I don't want to say way better, but they're quite a bit better. But head-to-head, I think they're pretty even in offense given who the defense is on the other side. So Steelers at home, too. They didn't really show them anything last week playing their backups. That was pretty good, pretty smart. I got the Steelers taking care of business here. But I tell you this, though. If a team gets like a 10-point or more lead to start, either team, I think that team – it sounds kind of funny because I think that's most teams have the advantage, but I would really feel confident in that team, even if it's the Browns, even though I'm not picking the Browns. Even if it's 7-0, I think it kind of pushes towards that one team a little more than you would think, but we'll see. Should be a pretty good one. It's weird only doing 6 games here, so I wish there was more here, but this is more than normal. 6 games, super wild card weekend. Pumped for this. We'll have the recap on Monday. We got the divisional round of coverage as well. We'll have the playoff rankings with the remaining teams. And then on Twitter, we will have you covered throughout these games, all of them. Give you all my thoughts during these games. Cannot wait for Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully you can join us for all of our coverage, our content. It's going to do it for this one, though. Please smash that like button if you enjoyed it. Give me your score predictions in the comments. Go over that Twitter to get involved in those fan votes. You guys are going to be really involved in videos going forward, and you kind of already were in some videos. You like the Pick'ems video. The fan vote has an icon. So pretty cool stuff. I'm excited about that. Go ahead and subscribe, turn notifications on. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.